You know who's a great guy? Mike Carparelli. If you go to carparelligutars.com, he'll send you some of the best guitar components money can buy. Or he'll build you an absolute soulmate of a guitar. I play a Carparelli. You should too.
Hey everyone, it is the Talking Head for municipalman.com, and I want to welcome you to the course. I need to take a minute to get you started here. So let's talk about what we're doing. You are here because you want to learn how to track your own drums in Midi. So you have a song you want to play, maybe it's a cover, maybe it's an original, and you want to lay out your own drums and get it to the point where you can give it to people and say, hey, listen to my new song, isn't it great? That's the goal. So the course is divided into 7 parts. Each part is pretty short, so you can do it in starts and fits and review it whenever you like. Also, it's on YouTube, so it's totally free. However, if you can see it through to make a little donation, I would greatly appreciate it. I know that we musicians have taken a big hit in the last year, so I wanted to go with a pay-what-you-can kind of model. So anything you can do in that regard, I greatly appreciate it. Go down into the notes of the videos, find the PayPal link, and kick me a few bucks if you can, and I will thank you from over here. Another smart thing to do would be to go to municipalman.com, find the store. There's a product listing there for the accompanying materials for the course. It's totally free. There's no obligation, no credit card, no nothing. You just put the product in the cart. It'll take you to the download. In the download, you're going to find a Logic file and a Garageband file, and it has the music we're using, and you can create your own tracks and follow along and do something practical instead of just watching the video passively. So I hope that will be helpful to you. Okay, I think that's it. It's time to get busy, so you guys get at it, and I will see you at the end of the course.
Hey, all you lovely people out there. It is Municipal Man for municipalman.com, and this is the beginning of what I am sure is going to be a multi-part series on how to track your own drums in Midi. And this is for new users, people who are musicians who have very little experience dealing with recording or music production or working with Midi. And the scenario is that you have created an original song, or there's a cover song you would like to play, and you don't have a drum track for it, and you would like to make your own. Maybe your drummer has fled to a non-extradition country or is passed out on your couch covered in his or her own vomit. And we've all been there, and you get frustrated, and you just want to get it done yourself. And you want to get your song to the point where you can play it for people or have a demo or even a performance, a backing track you can use for performance or something like that. And you would like it just to sound the way that you would like it to sound and be able to do that on your own. And that's where we would like to get you. Keep in mind, we're not here to talk about mixing and mastering. We're not making a final product. We just want to be able to lay out the drum arrangement and use the drum track to complement the song and get it to a point where we're all happy. That's the plan. In this series, we're working in Logic. If you have GarageBand, a lot of the features that Logic has are applicable to GarageBand. However, Logic has more features than GarageBand does, so if you're lucky enough to have it, that will make your life a little easier. If you don't, and you're using other software, no problem. The principles apply. It's just that the features may vary in location, etc., etc., and I would love to help you out more with that, but I just don't have those other software packages, so sorry about that.
I want you to have this video for free, but if you've got $2 or $3 lying around and you can kick them over here, it helps me take time from my real job and do more of this. So find the link below, go to PayPal, select only the least of what you can afford, and just know that I'd really appreciate it.
All right, the first thing we're going to do is talk about workflow. And this is setting up your software so that you can avoid problems, try to be more efficient, go through the steps a little easier, and anticipate what's coming down the pipe so that you don't do things that are redundant and waste your time and cause you headaches. So the first thing we're going to do in terms of workflow is go up here and drop down this little menu, and you'll see something called Arrangement and Markers. This just allows you to add indicators a display as to where the different parts of the song show up, verse, chorus, bridge, whatever. And that allows you to drag the playhead to those parts of the song. If you've been recording, you probably already do this because you want to follow the different parts of the arrangement, but I thought I'd bring it up just in case. Another thing you can do that I find very helpful, especially if you're dealing with a very complex song that has a lot of changes, is using markers. In this particular song, it's a pretty simple one. We probably wouldn't need them, but you never know. And if you go up to Navigate and you're in Logic, you'll see this thing called Open Marker List. And it will lay them out for you, and you can name them or call them whatever you like, whatever descriptor you find helpful. All right, well, you're smart. I think you get the idea. Markers can help you just locate something in the song where you're going to add something, and you don't have to scan through it, listening to it, and that can save you some time and allow you to jump around the arrangement a lot easier. The next thing we're going to do is deal with the LCD, which is this display here. Okay, so if I go up here and right-click just on the bezel here of the frame, and I hit Custom, it's going to give me some options for the display. What we're mostly concerned with for this process is this one here, time signature and division. So you'll notice it shows me this number here, which is the division. Just put a pin in that for a second because I'm going to come back to it in the next step. Other things you can do is to add the position, the time and the beats. You can put this key signature in there if you think it helps you. But mostly you just need the tempo, the time signature, perhaps the position is helpful. So why do we need the division showing? Because for the next thing we want to do for workflow is open up our MIDI editor. Just hit the scissor feature here, and that's going to open the editor field here. And that will show you whatever part of the song you're working on, which could be an analog signal or it could be MIDI. And you can see the MIDI notes for the bass track here. And what this is showing us is the field where you're going to work in and edit your MIDI notes. And the division feature allows you to change what is showing on the grid. So I have 8th notes, 16th, 30 seconds. And so if I change that to 16 or 30-second notes, okay, you'll notice this grid here changes, and that shows you the divisions in the bar. And that's going to be helpful for positioning the notes in the right location if you want the timing to be spot on. All right, so you're going to be going back and forth to that quite a bit. The next thing we want to do is deal with the automations, and that's this toggle here. So when you toggle it, the automations field will show up down here. And what we are concerned with is note velocity. Or let me just find it here. And you'll notice that the velocity ranges for the notes show up down here. And this gives you a nice visual. If you're not sure what note velocity is, don't worry. We're going to come back to that. But just keep in mind you want this open because you're going to be using this a lot. If you're using a computer with 2 monitors, that gives you a lot more real estate to work with. And that makes it a lot nicer because you can just look left and right. In a single monitor system, your screen's just a little crowded. You've got a lot occupying this space, but you can go up and down here. It just means you're just jumping back and forth between these things quite a lot as you jump around the song. But if you do have 2 monitors, you can open up the piano roll, and the piano roll shows you MIDI notes. You cannot use piano roll for audio recordings, but for MIDI selections you can. And this just gives you a little more room, so if you did have a second monitor like I do, you would position this on the left, and it allows you to sort of go back and forth. And it just gives you a more real estate to work with. But don't worry if you don't have it, it's just a luxury. Okay, now that you're all set up, you're ready to start laying down your drums. Well, let's set up our context here. I've written a short instrumental song that we're going to use to lay a drum track down for. And I chose something that was mid-tempo and not too complex in arrangement, just to keep things simple and easy to follow. Here are my guitar tracks, and here's a MIDI bass track. I have a little bit of a keyboard pad going on here, and here's my early drum track that I've used for timing and recording. Let's take a listen to where we're heading with this arrangement. Okay, so you get an idea of where we're going with that. The drums sound okay, but they're not complete. Like I said, I had put together an initial drum track here, but let's assume that we don't have that. So I'm going to negate those. And we're really starting from scratch. So what we need is an input method, meaning we need a way to generate MIDI notes. And there are a couple of ways to do that. One of the features of Logic and Garageband is that it has automated drum tracks. This is like drummer AI. And it can be a very handy tool because you can create a drum track and then convert it to MIDI. So let's take a look at how that works a little bit. In order to do that, we're going to create a new track. So we're going to go up here to plus, which means add a new track. And we're just going to go over here, and you'll notice there's this drummer feature. So you click drummer. It gives you some early options here in terms of style. I guess this sounds like a songwriter song. I don't know what that means exactly, but we're going to find out when we hear it. Okay, so here's our drummer track. And what it's doing is it's creating a drum track based on the details of the song, so that would be tempo and changes. And one thing you'll notice here is that because I have put the arrangement markers laid out like this, it divides the drum track for you automatically, and often it will add a fill there just in this section as it changes to a new part of the song. So let's see what we've got so far. But you can hear that it sounds pretty nice, and it's got a nice feel to it. Now, what you can do with this feature is go down to this editor here, and there are a lot of variations you can add. All right, you can see from the layout here, you have the option to simplify the beat. You can make it more complex. It will add more accents. You can soften the touch, make it louder. You have the choice to add some percussion, like a clap or a maraca, etc., etc. And then you can change the features of the different parts of the drum. You can swing the beat to a certain level, and you can increase or decrease the fills that are there. So there are variations on the beat that you can also choose as you go through the process. And I'm sure you get the idea. Now, you may be perfectly happy with that, and that's as far as you want to take it, and you just bounce the project down to an analog file, and you give it to your friends, and you say, hey, listen to my new song, isn't it great? And they go, wow, who's that drummer? And you go, oh, well, that's my secret. Whatever you want to do, just leave it there. If you want to go in and manipulate this beat, you can convert this track, which is now analog, into MIDI. And we're just going to highlight and right-click the track, and we're going to go down to convert. It says convert to MIDI region. And it converts the beat into MIDI notes. And if there's anything about the song that you would like to change because it's not exactly as you want it, or there's a fill you would like to add, you can use your MIDI skills to alter the beat and add things as you see fit. All right, now that you're all set up and your workflow is flowing, in Chapter 2, we're going to look at input devices, how to create MIDI notes to get your beat going. And so move on to that, and we'll see you there.